Has the gaming community underestimated the Xbox Series S? Well, Jez Corden over at Windows Central wrote this article, and I thought it's fascinating. It's really interesting. He's brutally honest here, and I think the conclusion here is that yes, the gaming community has underestimated the Xbox Series S. Let's go through it today. Let's answer some questions here. Primarily, how has the Xbox Series S affected game development? What does it mean for the future of game development? Is it holding Xbox back? Jez Corden has had a change of heart. He initially thought it did. Now he's saying no. He thinks the Xbox Series S was the right decision. He thinks it's helping game development, and he thinks it's going to help it going forward. He also uses the Steam Deck as an example as well. For similar reasons, these are underpowered, and they're ultimately forcing game developers to fully optimize their games. I mean, when you look at, and it makes sense in my mind, when you look at the Nintendo Switch does not compete on a power level even close with the Xbox Series X, with the PlayStation 5, not even close. And yet, it's one of the top selling consoles, and yet their games are incredibly optimized. And they're optimized for fun, too. And that basically, in a nutshell, is what Jez Corden says here in this article. And the conclusion he comes to is that optimization is very valuable for gaming. On top of that, the Xbox Series S also does introduce a lower entry point for gamers. Interesting. I did go through this. I highlighted some stuff that I think we should go over first here. But right off the bat, I do want to know from you guys, do you think the Xbox Series S was a mistake? Do you think that the Xbox Series X is the way to go? Also, does this article change your mind? Does the discussion that we have here today change your mind on it? He makes some good points. I've always been about the Series S until Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 forced Xbox to change their policy slightly. Jez Corden talks about this in this article, and it made me question, well, wait a minute. Maybe the Series S is wrong. However, the points he brings up here, Larian Studios found a 34% boost, basically. They found a way to optimize their game 34% more. And like he says, in order for it to be on the Series S, and like he says, that means that it's going to improve on the Xbox Series X. That is going to improve on the PlayStation 5. That is going to improve on the PC. That helps everybody. Really well done. Guys, I'll link this in the YouTube description here on this video. Make sure you go check it out. Give it a read. It's time to admit that Microsoft was right about the Xbox Series S, and here's why. So he starts out saying why he was against it, what the talking points were on the Series S. He says, Xbox console has often been blamed for various things. Even I have speculated that some games might have skipped the Xbox platform entirely, owing to developers building games for the PS5 first and then not wanting to or affording to optimize the game for the weaker Xbox Series S. He then talks about Baldur's Gate. He says it comes to a head with Baldur's Gate. That's where it came to a head for me as well, was where I for the first time questioned the Series S, the validity of the Series S here. And I have a Series S, and it's my favorite console of the two, primarily because of the looks, but it's just so convenient as well. And that price point you can't argue with. He says Larian couldn't reconcile Baldur's Gate 3 couch co-op, Microsoft's feature parity clause, and the Xbox Series S spec sheet. This episode led to a rightful correcting of Xbox policies, allowing for developers to be a little more flexible with how they optimize and target the Xbox Series S. Still, it was a sore point for Xbox fans initially. It seemed customers were destined to miss out on yet another game that could have easily counted itself among the best Xbox games of 2023. He continues, and that was where I was at. I mean, here you have Baldur's Gate, one of the best RPG games, one of the best in its class of all time. I'm playing it multiplayer every single week for a few hours. My friends and I, my cousins, get together, my brother get together, and we sit down and we go through the campaign together multiplayer. It's an amazing game. It's a one-of-a-kind experience, once-in-a-generation type of game. And it's not on the Series X yet because of this issue that they had. Xbox, like he says, Xbox made some adjustments to that parity feature, and let's continue. He says, I've gone back and forth with myself over the Xbox Series S and whether or not it was the correct strategy for Microsoft. I think in the end, some of my conclusions were wrong. Here's why I now think the 2-SKU platform was the correct one for Xbox and one that I hope Microsoft will continue exploring going forward. And this is where we get into the Series S and Steam Deck. Because these are lower powered machines, it's forcing game optimization, and it's actually happening. Most recently, we have Larian. So here we go. So he talks about Larian finding this optimization. He gives another couple of examples, Chivalry 2, for example. And here's what he says. Developers that ship on the Xbox Series X also have to ship on the Series S per Microsoft's policy, as we established previously. Armed with this incentive, Larian Studios, Baldur's Gate 3, was able to discover a huge optimization boost while exploring porting the game from PC to the Series S. A boost of 34% is incredibly impressive, and not only for the Series S, but for other platforms as well. It's in those other platforms on the low end that are potentially going to further help incentivize Xbox Series S optimizations down the line as a byproduct. He said he played Baldur's Gate 3 on the Steam Deck initially, and he said it was pretty rough. It clearly was not optimized for that device. This, though, now will optimize it for it. The Steam Deck has similar hardware constraints to the Xbox Series S. Its increasing popularity may make developers reconsider their optimization investments as a result. Why? The more popular a handheld device like the Steam Deck becomes, and we're about to get another version of the Steam Deck here launching soon, it's a customer base. It's an audience. You want your game in front of that audience. You want your game to be played by as many people as possible. That's how you make money as a game company. And so, if lower end devices become more and more popular, you're going to have to optimize. The Series S is considered one of those devices and will help with that optimization. Let's continue here. The more gamers out there with Xbox Series S, Steam Deck, and other similarly priced endpoints should further incentivize developers to seek optimizations while also creating a wider audience for their products. 100% agreed. We just talked about that. The future of gaming will be found, and this I agree with. This is his conclusion. The future of gaming will be found in the flexibility to play wherever you want, however you want, but global internet speeds make cloud gaming too inconvenient. The dream of an Xbox Series S handheld could be fulfilled someday, and Microsoft would have hundreds of 1080p optimized games ready to take advantage. 4K doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you're playing on a 7-inch screen after all. I will say, too, most hardcore PC gamers don't play at 4K because the frame rate is more impressive. The frame rate is what they want. They play at a 1440 or a 1080. Those are the two gaming screens there. In closing, he says, I humbly apologize to the Series S. I hail Larian and other developers whose technical wizardry remains ever inspiring, and I implore Microsoft to continue supporting the affordable end of console gaming. I think he makes really valuable points here. I think yes, I think he's thinking about it correctly. I think Microsoft is thinking about it correctly. Here's the thing. I think it will take some hand-holding from Xbox and Microsoft. It's what it took with Larian. And the only reason that it happened with Larian is because Larian was not expected to be the game that it was. It wasn't expected to have the commercial success that it ended up having. Phil Spencer sat down with the heads of Larian Studios. They came out, hey, guess what? This game is coming, and it's coming this year. So that's what it took there. That's good. When you have this new kind of business model, never before has Xbox launched with two consoles. This was the first time this generation, a lower end, a higher end, a casual, a hardcore version, two different price points. And in doing so, you're going to have learning curve. You're going to have some growing pains there. This, I think, is a part of that growing pain. But I do think, Jez Corden here makes some really good points. I think for the price point alone, having two consoles is well worth it. I think what's more interesting is this idea of handhelds, and I think Microsoft has been playing that correctly. I think them, instead of creating their own handheld, which maybe one day they may well do, they have the ROG Ally, they have the Steam Deck that everything can be put directly onto. Look at PlayStation. PlayStation's approach is wildly different. PlayStation's approach, they're creating their own handheld. Now, this handheld can only be played on Wi-Fi and is an additional cost to you. They have to ship it. They have to make it. They have have to do the R&D in there. I think offloading that and then allowing your games, to a hardware company and then allowing Game Pass to be installed on said hardware is the route to take. I think it's wildly smarter. It's the only way you're going to increase your player base, your Game Pass subscriptions in a way at the scale that you need to make it successful and as fast as you need to. So the Xbox Series S, who knew? It's got all these critics, but 34% optimization on your game from Larian Studios is an example where optimize down, optimize for the low end. It improves everywhere else. Very, very exciting. I do have a question here that I wrote down. So with the ever-evolving landscape of gaming, including handheld devices like the Steam Deck, how might Xbox's strategy with the Series S influence the future of gaming accessibility and portability? And I think that we just talked about that. I should have read the question before I read the question here, or before I said my last opinion. But yeah, it's the future is exciting. We're at the dawn of the golden age of gaming, and this is a part of it. These new technologies that are coming up, the new ways to play, the seemingly tearing down of walls, tearing down of walled gardens here. We can play wherever we want, whenever we want. I think Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard and King and the mobile space is going to explode. If you look at Activision Blizzard, had a lot of success with a mobile version of Diablo, but now imagine if you had true Diablo 4 playable over on your mobile phone via cloud gaming. Imagine if you have a handheld device that you can download it directly to, and those handheld devices continue to improve over time, and games optimize for said devices. And now all of a sudden your Game Pass library is playable anywhere off the cloud, wherever you're at. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. And I think that's the future that we're going to get to, and it's very exciting. Again, go check out this article. Go read it all the way through. I just picked out some highlights there, but I really respect this. I thought this was interesting. This is one of the most interesting articles, personally, that I've read in quite a while. I think it's well thought out. I think it's nuanced, and I think it's a constructive observation here that not a lot of people have. So has the gaming community, we asked the question at the beginning, has the gaming community underestimated the Xbox Series S? And yes, and I think they still do right now. And I think it just will be to their detriment. To their detriment? I think we're about to see it take off. Christmas is coming. Let's see what business model works here. You've got 3 entry price points now. You've got the Black Series S, you've got the OG Series S, and you got the Series X. 3 price points to get in on Xbox this holiday season. How does Xbox do? Now, there's a lot of hard work to be done, especially in Europe and Asia. Relationships are going to have to be built. Xbox seems hellbent on creating those relationships, particularly in Japan. They're going balls to the wall there. And I think eventually that will pay off. They'll have success there for sure. That will surpass the success that they had in Asian markets with the 360. Again, love to know what you guys think. What am I missing? What does Jez Corden get right? What does he get wrong? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, if you like hanging out, talking Xbox, that's what this is. This is the hangout. It's a daily hangout that we do here on this channel. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. Love hanging out with you guys. Have a great weekend. Again, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.